You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves and bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Friday night has several teams from the association in action. ESPN's doubleheader, Heat at Bucks at 7:30, and the Thunder are at the Suns at 10, while the hometown Hawks host the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game tips at 7:30. Knicks at the Wizards at 7, Nets at the Bulls at 8, Rockets at Warriors at 10, and the Kings are at the Clippers at 10:30. College basketball action has top 20 Xavier traveling to Seton Hall, both with winning records in the Big East. That game can be seen on FS1 at 7 Eastern. Other games tonight, Sienna's at Ryder, 7 o'clock on the Plus. Should be a good one in New York as Fairfield heads to Niagara. That game is at 7 on the Plus as well. Richmond is at VCU on the Deuce at 7. Bellarmine at North Florida on the Plus, 7 Eastern. While the JU Dolphins have been reeling, they host Eastern Kentucky, 7 o'clock on the Plus. James Madison welcomes in Georgia State at 8. Wyoming at Colorado State at 9. Seattle U at Grand Canyon. That game is at 9, with Air Force at UNLV, 9:30 on CBS Sports Network. And if you're up late, Nevada travels to Fresno State at 11. For the first time all year, we've got Major League Baseball on the scoreboard. Both games starting at 3:05 Eastern. Rangers at Royals, Mariners at Padres. We'll keep you updated on the score right here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in on the Key. Jesse Chavez is ready for spring training, and here are his thoughts on spring training and the new pitch clock.
It's all the same. I cherish every time I get in that, either get on a plane or I get in the car and drive to spring training. I think about what I've been able to do either last year or the few years that however many years I've been playing up into that spring training. I never take it for granted. I always cherish it. I think it's going to be the throwers to first more than the clock. I think guys are going to have to, with the clock, guys are going to have to pay attention to what they're doing on a pitch-to-pitch basis, so that way they can speed up the shakes and not have as many, shakes. Along with the clock later on in the game, I think it can be detrimental because those are innings that we need to, be on the same page with. Those are innings that matter. I mean, every inning matters, but at the end of the ballgame, when playoff hunt, crunch time, trying to get in, or you're in the playoffs, whatever, you have a clock. Like might need to be a couple shakes, and then you get to the step-off part with the time. That's going to, kind of put you a lot of harm's way. Guys are going to throw pitches that they're not going to want to throw.
Your Atlanta Braves take on the Boston Red Sox, 1:05 Eastern, Saturday afternoon. Braves Country HD will have the call, play-by-play, inning by inning, pitch by pitch. From Northport, Florida, Atlanta versus Boston, the first game of the spring. And that game can also be heard right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum and Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pub. Really? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
Radio station. The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
Listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Braves Red Sox tomorrow, 1:05 Eastern, and we'll have the call right here on The Key in Braves Country HD. TGI Friday, y'all. Let's get it going.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. He's the all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair quarterback.
Yeah, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Welcome to Braves Country, Braves Country HD, wherever you stream, and Braves Country on 99.1 FM, The Key, where you go live 3 to 5, Monday through Friday here. And tomorrow begins our broadcast season where we will be doing live on our YouTube and as well here on 99.1 FM, The Key, Braves Country Baseball. We give you a fan's take on what's going on in the Braves Country Baseball play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch radio style. So we hope that you enjoy it. If you have not been a part of the Braves Country family before, this is our third season, our second full season. We started towards the end of 2021 and got a pretty good response from it is the short of it, and we continued to do it last year, and now we are expanding. We just released the schedule for the entire season this afternoon, and you can find that. We've pinned it to our Twitter page, Braves Country HD. We've also pinned it to our Facebook page, Braves Country HD. So I won't rattle it off because it's a lot of games. It's 4 a week, essentially, is what we have going on. I think some of them, there actually might be more, and then there's a couple that aren't as many for things like the All-Star break and what have you. But our first game is tomorrow, 1:05 Eastern, and we are looking forward to it. Braves, Red Sox will have the first pitch here. There's still some debate on who's going to play tomorrow, so we'll wait to address that tomorrow. Today is just excited that it's back, and hey, there's actually a baseball game going on right now in Major League Baseball-ish. It's half of Major League Baseball. So it's the Boston Red Sox. I think it's Northern University, or it might be Northeastern University. I've been watching a little bit of it on Nesson as the game has been. It's being played down in Florida in the Boston Red Sox facility. It just says NU on the scoreboard, and they don't have it on the actual scoreboard on the MLB scoreboard for ESPN and whatnot, because they only put games on that are between actual MLB teams. So this is the Boston Red Sox versus a college baseball team. I'm going to get it figured out here in a second, but I just turned it on. I knew of the other two games that are starting right away here. I actually think that's Northeastern University, but let me double check on this. There's two games on around 3:00. I think 3:05 and 3:10 are your first pitch. The Rangers are playing the Royals. That just started. I don't believe any of this is on actual TV. And the Seattle versus San Diego game is about to start. And I can see it through the package that I have, but it's not on regular TV. The game tomorrow is not on regular TV. The Braves themselves are only televising a few games spring training. And so we're going to bring to you live play-by-play all the action tomorrow, 1:05 Eastern. Looking forward to it. And there's so many storylines, not just for the Braves, but for Major League Baseball. Obviously, one of the first ones that's going to jump out at anyone who's not a Braves fan is, where does Shohei Ohtani end up at by the end of the year? Because unless the Angels re-sign him, and unless the Angels are in the playoff hunt in late July, which I would be shocked if they were, and I actually tend to pull for the Angels to a degree, because I would like to see Shohei Ohtani. I would like to see Mike Trout in the playoffs in the American League. But it never seems like that they have a team. It always seems that their offense isn't there, and that their pitching isn't there, and that their offense is very top heavy. They spent so much money bringing in Anthony Rendon, and he has just not lived up to the billing since he came over from the championship nationals after 2019. Some of it's injury, some of it's just poor play. And then, of course, they had to lock up Mike Trout. They couldn't let him go. But when you give one player, what was it, $468 million, whatever the ridiculous number was, you kind of paint yourself into a corner. When Rendon got a contract well over $300 million as well. And so what is Ohtani? I've been saying this from there's no way Ohtani settles for less than $500 million. And it's funny when you catch some of these shows, some of these national shows, and you realize how big of baseball fans they are not. I was catching that show out in New York a couple of days ago, and they were all, hey, let's get him here to New York. He's going to be a Met. He's going to be a Met. And their consensus was, I think they were saying 7 years, $350 million was going to get him to the New York Mets. There's no way. There's no way there's no way that he signs for less than $500 million. And I don't think that's going to be the number. I really, truly believe, because the way the contracts have gone up, and you just go off the ones that you saw this year, the production that Shohei Ohtani gives you day in and day out, you can make the argument that bare minimum, because a frontline starter, bare minimum is getting $30+ million a year, and a star hitter, which he is both, is getting at least $30 million a year. So if you do the math, $60 million a year to me is the floor. And I think he's worth every bit of 75. If the rest of the guys are making what they're making, you can make the argument that 75 million is what the number could be. And I say run that number up, baby. Run it up as high as you can. Because if you have to pay Shohei Ohtani 60, 65, 70 million a year to one guy, and I'm not saying that he won't be a Met. I'm of the school that he's going to stay on the West Coast. But even if he becomes a Met, a Yankee, heck, who knows? Maybe the Boston Red Sox have been saving their pennies for something like this, right? I mean, all of your big boys are going to be in on this sweepstakes. There is no way I want to see him sign for less than 60 and 10. So 600 million to me is the floor. I've thought more and more about this the last few weeks. 600 million is the absolute floor. And hey, let's run it up to 75. Let's convince everybody's worth 100 million a year. Because all it's going to do is hurt. All it's going to do is hurt the Braves' opponents. Because Atlanta's not getting in it, no matter what the Braves fans are going to try to tell you. And there are going to be a bunch of knuckleheads out there in the Twitterverse and the Facebook land, whatever they call that, and all the others. They're going to sit there and pound the table and say, we are going to get Shohei Ohtani, and it's going to be on, and let's go, and it's worth it, and it's never going to happen. If we're not going to give Freddie Freeman $200 million, if we're not going to give Dansby Swanson, we weren't even willing to give him $150 million. We weren't willing to give Freddie Freeman $165, $170 million. There is no way on God's green earth the Atlanta Braves are going to back the truck up for one player at 50 to 60 bare minimum a year. It's never going to happen. And he's going to get 10 years. He's going to be, I believe he's 29. He's either 29 or about to be 29. So any way you look at it, he'll be just below 40 at the end of a 10-year deal. Why would he sign for anything less? He's probably going to ask for a 13 or 14-year deal. I mean, negotiations are probably going to start with a 15-year deal, right? And then they'll have to whittle them down to 12. And negotiations will start with, we want 75 a year. And they'll have to whittle them down to 60 to 65. The only thing that I can say for whatever team signs, whether it's the Dodgers, maybe the Angels, but highly doubtful, whether it's the Dodgers, I could see San Francisco being involved in this very easily. I could see Seattle, because Seattle's starting to really start to spend. You could also possibly see a team who doesn't have a big dollar ticket item. And though I don't think they have much of a chance of signing him, you could see someone like Arizona get involved in this. I don't put the Cubs or the White Sox out of it. Probably Texas will be involved, but I mean, how many of these huge deals can they absorb and still be competitive across the board? You'll hear the Yankees, you'll hear the Red Sox, you'll hear the Mets. But whoever signs him, if I'm going to give you that much money, I'm not giving you that out. And that out that all these guys end up with. Machado's already said he's going to exercise free agency at the end of this year. So he signed a 10-year deal in 2019. He will have finished 5 seasons at the end of this season, and he's going to be able to opt out. And of course, they do that because they want to see where the market is. But if I'm a team putting in a boat ton of money, if there's going to be an opt-out, it's going to be mutual, because there is no way I'm going to pony up. We'll just say We'll even lowball it and say it's 12 years. There's no way that it's not $600 million. But we'll say 12 years, 700, 750. There's no way I'm committing that to you and you have all the power. If I'm offering you $750 million to play baseball, to play a kid's game when you look at it, I'm not giving you all the power. If I give you an opt-out, then I want an opt-out. If you blow your knee out and you aren't worth diddly squat after year 3, then by God, give me an opt-out. So whoever signs this deal, I would just say to the ownership, and obviously the general managers are involved, don't give the player all the money. I mean, all the power, excuse me. You're going to have to give them all the money. You can't give them all the power. By the way, Kansas City Royals lead the Texas Rangers. Our first scoreboard update of 2023. Rangers trailed the Royals. It is 2-0. That game just ended in the first. Looks like Vinny Pasquantino hit a home run to right field with Bobby Witt on. Bobby Witt got on via the walk. And there you have your first runs of the spring. 2 runs shot by the Kansas City Royals, and Major League Baseball is underway. For you Red Sox fans out there, if you're wanting to know what has happened so far with the Red Sox, we'll hit that up real quick. The scoring, by the way, it is Northeastern University. I was right on the second after I thought about it. Real quick on this, RBIs by Devers, RBIs by the newcomer Yoshida, Casas, and 2 RBIs by Valdez. Doesn't appear any of them were home run. It looks like there was a double by Duran. So there you go. All right, we're going to take a quick break after that first scoreboard of the season. When we come back, Bobby's is back from vacation, and he's going to tell us how the Arizona Cardinals are going to fare under this new leadership. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you may stream. This Saturday afternoon, February 25th, 1:05 p.m. Eastern, Braves Country Baseball is back. We'll have play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch, inning-by-inning of your Atlanta Braves. That's Braves Red Sox. This Saturday, 1:05 Eastern on Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country.
Work is work. You don't show up late, you don't make excuses, and you don't not work. If it wasn't work, they wouldn't call it work. They'd call it super wonderful, crazy fun time. Or skippity-doo.
It all starts with just one thing. Get to know your local beekeeper. You can make sure they don't use chemicals in the hive, that they only sell surplus honey, plus locally produced honeys have a smaller carbon footprint. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
The Armchair Quarterbacks are covering America's pastime from spring training all the way to the Fall Classic.
5-2 Dodgers in the 9th. Got him. They've done it. Like the 1969 Mets, it's the impossible dream revisited.
And Myers bringing it. And the pitch is hit in the air. Foul off first. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it. It's a base hit. It's a 1-0 10-inning victory.
Bell, left field, way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Armchair.
The Giants never call it. The Giants
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show. Every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern, you'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE. Welcome back. Welcome back, Bobby. Your dreams are your ticket out. Do you know that reference, Bobby? I seriously doubt you do.
I don't, unfortunately.
If you ever get a chance to watch the great Welcome Back, Kotter, it's a great sitcom from the 70s, where one John Travolta got his start, amongst others. I would highly suggest it. It's actually perfect for your age group. What are you, 21, 22?
I'm 20.
Oh, I thought you already turned 21.
No. I turned 20 in January.
So that's why you've been showing up on time. Once you turn 21, like there's a 6 month. So there's going to be a 6 month window. We're going to be like, where's Bobby? How was vacay?
It was awesome, man. I went to Colorado. I had a great time. I skied. I learned how to ski. I crashed a few times, but I think I got the hang of it now.
I have never snow skied, and I can safely say by now that I will never snow ski. Water skied down here being a Southern kid, but I've never snow skied. It's never even appealed to me, only because you have to do it in snow.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's
man,
fair.
if I didn't have to go into snow to do it, you could talk me into snow skiing.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to do than water ski. I've never been able to do the water skis without the ropes to keep the two together.
Terribly difficult.
Yeah.
And it is not something I would attempt now, but I did when I was younger. It was one of those things. It is not like riding a bike. It's once you get it, you got no. Once you get it, you're probably going to go out there the next season and spit the bit and smash your face against the. I ended up having a really bad accident one year. I got very fortunate; it wasn't worse than what it was, but I spit the bit and hit the bank and came probably, I don't know, 2 feet from this bicycle that was sitting up on the bank. And if I would have hit that thing, man, I don't even know if I'd be here, or if I was, I'd be talking to you out of a straw. Oh, man. So while you were away, the Arizona Cardinals made their outstanding hire that I know you were very excited about. What say you on the direction of your Redbirds?
I don't want to get my hopes too high until we see what they look like on the field with our quarterback back and healthy. But from what I've heard from him in the press conferences and the interviews and stuff, he seems like a good coach right now. I know it's easy to get caught up in, getting your hopes up when you hire a new coach. I had hopes when we had Kingsbury, and look at me now. So I'm not going to, expect, him to be the best coach ever. I would have rather had Sean Payton. I made that clear. There's other coaches I would have rather had too. But I'm going to give Gannon a chance, and I like the staff he's built.
I would rather have Rich Gannon on my staff than John Gannon. That's my take on it. His goofy interaction the first day, I think I sent it to you.
Mm-hmm.
That ranks up there with me. The only one that I think is worse was, if you recall, the opening press conference Adam Gase had with the Jets. His eyes were all over the place, and everyone's like, what in the world's wrong with this guy? And look, he may be a good coach, but that was a really strange interaction. And if that's his personality, and he's not like pulling anyone's leg, I guess my biggest question is, how did that play in an interview, but they tell you that Eric Bieniemy gives terrible interviews? As I said, Eric Bieniemy in the press conference with Washington, he doesn't have this off-putting personality that everyone has been claiming.
Yeah, when he seemed very level-headed. I know he was talking about some of the comments LaShawn McCoy made, and he pretty much paid him no mind. He said everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Yeah, I don't know what Bieniemy has to do to be a coach, but I guess he's trying something new with Washington.
I will say this, it's a strange route to go. We were talking about this earlier in the week, and the short of it on my take on that is you're going to leave the best quarterback in football.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to leave arguably one of top 2 or 3 coaches in the game at this point, assuming he's not going to step down.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do this to go to a dumpster fire of a franchise who can't even decide what their name is from year to year. Huge question at the quarterback position, but not
Absolutely.
even that. You're going to go in there against the Eagles, the Cowboys, and I just assume Dayball is going to continue to improve New York, whether they keep Daniel Jones or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, my question for Bieniemy is why go in and be the offensive coordinator for Washington, who has a chance to fire their head coach next year? Rivera's already on the hot seat as is. If he has a bad year next year, Rivera might be gone. And that means he'll probably be on the way out too.
Okay, so playing devil's advocate, is there a scenario in his head, and maybe it was a part of the conversation,
mm-hmm.
that he would have the opportunity to interview for the head coaching position no matter what happens this year, and so he has a chance to impress with inside the doors? I know his other thing would be is that if he can turn Washington's offense around, let's say Washington has a great year, and I mean, a great year for Washington would just have the offense good enough to make the playoffs, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just a wild card exit would be exceeding expectations for them.
So could there be a possibility of him getting a chance elsewhere? The other thing that you wonder about is, or I do, there was rumors coming out of the Super Bowl or leading up to Super Bowl weekend that Andy Reid could be stepping down, that he could be retiring. Now, those rumors obviously were absolute garbage. They were just clickbait because I didn't eat one iota of it afterwards, right? It was just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say Andy Reid is towards the end. Let's say he does have, I'm going to give this one last college try this year and then steps down. I don't see, unless there's something going on inside the doors of Kansas City we don't know about, why he couldn't return as the head coach of Kansas City.
Yeah, I think Spagnuolo would have a good shot of it. He's done a good job with that Kansas City defense. So I think maybe he would get a look for the head coaching spot if Reid were to retire. But yeah, if he waited that out, I'm sure he'd be right at the top of the list of interviews they'd have for head coach.
I was waiting for like 2 days after he went to Washington for Andy Reid to announce, well, by the way, I'm retiring. You what? Other quarterback merry-go-round stuff. Aaron Rodgers came out of his cavern or wherever he's in, his box.
His darkness retreat is over.
Yeah. Derek Carr is doing his whirlwind tour. Lamar Jackson, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but he's not taking a snap for the Baltimore Ravens ever again, I don't think. I think he's getting traded. And however they ideally for Baltimore, you trade him before the draft, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you try and get a pick in this year's draft, maybe try and get a quarterback this year, or you can, look ahead towards next year with a big accumulation of picks that you get for Lamar. But yeah, I think he's done in Baltimore. I think they had their chance to get a deal done last offseason. It didn't happen. And now he's won more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson got. And frankly, I don't see the Ravens giving him that. I saw a report where they were $100 million or more apart in their negotiation.
Yeah.
And that they're just not going to meet a number.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with them is that Jackson wants the same deal as Deshaun Watson. And the thing about Deshaun Watson, his deal is not normal for the NFL. Deshaun Watson had the Browns over the barrel because the Browns are not a good franchise and they do everything utterly backwards. And they did this backwards and they basically just caused an issue. But I guarantee you there is a closed door behind closed doors agreement with the other, 31 owners that are probably saying no more of that nonsense. The Browns are idiots, but no more of that nonsense because you keep doing that and you're going to cripple franchises down the road because if you guarantee all this money, We'll take your Cardinals, for example. Murray got all this guaranteed money. He's not going to live up to that money. Eventually, they're going to have to make a decision whether or not they're going to keep him, trade him, which is probably going to be difficult, or just cut bait, right?
Well, the difference with Kyler is he only had about half of his deal
guaranteed, right?
What?
I said it would have been much worse if it was 245 guaranteed.
Yeah, if it was, but Kyler only had just over half of, I think, of his deal guaranteed. So he doesn't put us in as much of a bind if we were to try and move him or something like that. But with Lamar or Watson, for example, if you give them fully guaranteed money, number one, if they suck, then you have no chance of trading them. You're stuck with them until that contract's up, and they take up so much of the cap space that you're in a bind, and that team's not going to be very good.
And if I'm going to give you fully guaranteed, it's going to be a very short deal.
Yeah, it'll be 1 or 2 years.
Right, exactly. So, like, for instance, that's what the franchise tag is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guaranteed deal, but it's only 1 year.
Yeah,
he's wanting 5 years, at least 240 to 245.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what happens when you're your own agent.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what the Ravens should tell Lamar is, I know Watson got all the guaranteed money, but look how it's looking out for them. I mean, it's not playing well so far. I know, Watson hasn't played a whole lot of games in Cleveland, but look, if that's you can't do that.
This is where the ego gets involved because his rebuttal is going to be, but I'm an MVP. He's not even an MVP. I'm an MVP. I've never gotten in trouble with all the masseuses and the, all that nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's true. But then if you're Baltimore, you're coming back going, you haven't finished the season. You haven't finished the season since the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, he can't seem to stay consistently healthy to end the season. And not only that, not to discredit his MVP. It was a fantastic year, but that was in 2019. It's now 2023. We're talking about a whole new year, 4 new years after that. You can't really use that argument too much. If he played like that last year, you could make a case for getting all that guaranteed money. But right now, he's just not worth that much.
I don't think he's going to get anything close to that. But there are franchises that could be desperate enough to guarantee him something goofy like 200, right? And look, you weren't here for this, so I'll share it for you. Heck, I'll be sharing this till it doesn't happen. My idea is this fixes 3 franchises in one fell swoop, and none of it's crazy. It's all doable, and no one gives up a lot, and they all get something.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson comes to Atlanta. Justin Field goes to Baltimore, and the Bears get both of their first-round picks. And they keep their number 1 pick, and they can pick whatever quarterback they think is the best in this draft. And then you've got, I think it's the 18th and the 23rd overall. You get a first-round pick this year, or the top quarterback, whoever you believe it is, because there's so much talk about whether or not they believe in Justin Fields. The thing is, Justin Fields would be perfect in Baltimore's offense. You don't have to change anything. He could run the same offense.
The problem with that Baltimore offense is they did move on from Greg Roman, so it'll be different than what we saw in years past. But the foundation.
Unless you make that move. If that move is there, and look, if I'm Harbaugh, I would do it, because you don't just have to change your. And look, I get it. They brought Monken in and whatever, but you don't have to just change your offensive philosophy. They've got to change their whole roster. They've got a bunch of receivers that have skill at hands and are much better blockers than they are actual playmakers. You would get a younger version, and honestly, more athletic version of Justin Fields.
My problem is I don't believe in Justin Fields as much as many other teams do, or many other people do. I think he's a terrible passer, with all due respect. But
so is Lamar Jackson.
He is. I think Fields is worse. Though. I think Fields is a much worse passer.
Hollywood Brown, his best friend, asked for a trade. His best, he said, I gotta leave. In fact, I hate it here so bad, I want to go play with Kyler Murray. That's how bad I think it is.
Hollywood had one of his best years, or one of his best stretches, at least, with us. So it's worked out at least a little bit for him. But yeah, look, Fields and Lamar are both not great passers. That's pretty clear. And it's not a slight towards them. I still think they're good quarterbacks. Just passing isn't their strong suit. But I don't think Fields is worth Lamar and a first-round pick. I think maybe you could convince the Ravens to do that if they're just giving up Lamar. But if they have to give up Lamar and a first, I don't see how they win that trade at all.
No. Lamar goes to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Fields goes to Baltimore.
Yeah.
The number 1 picks go to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So you are getting, if you're Chicago, you're getting just, first of all, you get to restart the clock with whatever quarterback. You're getting 2 number 1 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Plus you got the number 1 pick overall, so you can fix your quarterback there. Atlanta's only giving up a number 1. Atlanta's actually giving up the most because they're giving up a number 1 and they're going to have to give up all that money.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore is just giving up, basically swapping out Fields for what is his
Lamar.
Yeah, for Jackson. And maybe there's something else that's thrown in there on the back end where Baltimore also gets another pick somewhere.
Okay.
It's not going to be a first rounder.
I thought you said the Ravens would be giving up their first too.
You're getting to you because the thing is you can't trade Jackson to Chicago. That doesn't work. You get to fix your quarterback situation. You get to save a boat ton of money doing it.
Okay. So anyway, I'm confused here. Did the Ravens give up their first 2 or no? They don't.
The Ravens give up 1 pick. Falcons give up their 1 pick. They both go to Chicago.
No, you can't do that if you're the Ravens. No.
Why?
That's terrible.
You're getting Fields.
You're downgrading a quarterback and you're giving your first round pick up. You can't do that.
You're not downgrading. It's
yes, you are.
Movement.
No, it's not lateral. Fields is much worse than Lamar. I don't want to rag on Fields too much. I'm not a believer at all, though. I think he's a horrible passer. I think he sucks. I think he's good at running the ball.
He's a phenomenal runner. He's exactly
he's an awful passer.
Like Lamar Jackson, except he's a better runner. Lamar Jackson's a little better passer, but it's minuscule.
But the thing is, I value passing more than running, obviously. And the difference between Lamar's passing and Fields' passing is too great for that not to be a downgrade. I don't think Fields is a good enough passer to be a top quarterback in this league like Lamar was at one point.
I'll put it to you this way: if the move happens, all three teams have a better quarterback situation than Arizona does.
Oh, come on, get it. If you say Fields is better than Kyler,
he's absolutely better than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is one of the best.
Full on the Fields
Kyler Murray can't read a defense. Kyler Murray is 5'2". He's
taller than Bryce Young though, so don't go singing your praises about Bryce Young this draft when it comes up.
Bryce Young's a much better passer.
I'll give him. He's a better passer. I'll give him.
Honestly, I'm more in the school now that I think I would draft Stroud over Young.
Fair enough.
Unless if my coach, my coordinator were convinced that they could work with Young, the fact that he is a better passer, but physically he's a little limited compared to Stroud, then I can be talked into it if I'm the general manager. But if you're just asking me across the board, not taking any of the rosters or whoever my coaches and coordinators are into consideration, I'm leaning more towards Stroud than I am towards Young. That developed for me over towards the back half of the season where Stroud was, he was absolutely phenomenal in the game against Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think both of those two are great. But back to the Kyler and Fields thing. Fields doesn't even come close to Kyler through the air.
Fields rushed for over 1,000 yards.
Okay, he is a little bit of a better rusher than Kyler Murray. You know what? Let me give it to you. He's a much better rusher than Kyler Murray, but he is nowhere near the passer that Kyler Murray is. It's not even close. Fields is a terrible passer. Bottom of the barrel.
The jury's still out with me on Fields on whether or not he can. I think he can at least get to where Kyler Murray is as a throwing quarterback. And he's already leaps and bounds better as a running quarterback. Because the thing is, Kyler Murray you can't breathe on him or he snaps his freaking fibula. So Fields is a bull.
Look, don't speak too soon. We're only 2 years into Fields' career. He can still become, I don't want to wish it on him, but he could become injury prone. There's a possibility of that with how much he runs the ball.
Well, first of all, I think whoever got him would be a little smarter with the way they set it up. Chicago was out there just going, I don't know, just go, just go, and he was getting banged up. If you're designing plays and you're teaching him how to get down, I guarantee he's going to be more durable than Jackson because he's just a bigger kid.
He is, and Lamar's already established that he can't.
One thing I will say,
stay healthy throughout the season.
That I will agree with one thing with you. Let's say that move is made. Maybe Baltimore gets some compensation elsewhere. Maybe they get not just Fields, but maybe they get a second or third round pick in there, right? You're still getting to reset yourself with the quarterback. And if you think that he's may not be the answer at the end of the year, there's a much better quarterback class coming next year. So
that's fair. That is fair.
I'm just saying, man, the situation is so bad in Baltimore right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a liability. If you can get Justin Fields, let me put it this way: it's either Justin Fields or you're going to with Tyler Huntley. I know he's a Pro Bowler, but you're going to with Tyler Huntley at your quarterback.
Hey man, if they want to shoot for Caleb Williams next year, then maybe Tyler Huntley's the way to go.
Or they can make or maybe they can make a trade to get back what is his name? The Penn State kid that plays backup for Arizona now.
No, Trace McSorley.
Yeah,
Trace McSorley.
I think brings
my
back. But I'm telling you, Fields at least if you get Fields, the number one name in this game is money. You can sell jerseys, you can sell box seats, you can sell season tickets. You're not selling nothing with Tyler Huntley. Oh, here we go, Tyler Huntley. And the Baltimore sports fans goes, well, I guess I'm going all in on the Orioles because I can't load my money up to the Nationals, and I darn sure ain't going to do it with the Washington Wizards. And Lord only knows what's going to happen for the Washington football team or whatever they're going to call themselves next year. All right, let's take a real quick break. We'll reset when we come back. College basketball and the XFL. Bobby returns and his football team's in shambles, and so is the XFL. We'll be back in a flash.
I'm bad at sex. There's a lot of thrashing and thumping, but nothing really gets done. I'm like a broken dishwasher.
Armchair Quarterback Radio. We cover the world of baseball from start to finish.
Baerga is 0 for 3. Left center field. Grissom on the run. The team of the 90s has its world championship. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
Brocious, fittingly with a throw, and the Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998. Chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the ninth, game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Floated, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champion. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.
Armchair.
The best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
This Saturday afternoon, February 25th, 1:05 p.m. Eastern, Braves Country Baseball is back. We'll have play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch, inning-by-inning of your Atlanta Braves. That's Braves Red Sox. This Saturday, 1:05 Eastern on Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners. Okay? All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let me hear it.
I don't know how I'm getting this. I do not have MLB Network anymore, Bobby. Because YouTube TV took it off or whatever. There's big. Anyways, haven't decided where I'm going to go. But I've got the MLB.TV on, and I was watching Boston versus Red Sox versus New England. Northeastern University. I think that game must have came to an end because now I look over. Yeah, it was 5-3 was the final. It looks like they only played 7 innings. So I look over. I thought it was just a clip or something. Kept waiting for it to change. And MLB Network is streaming here, and it looks like it's the Andre Dawson Classic is on. And I can't even find a scoreboard for this, but it's playing. I think Southern University is playing. They just went to break, so I'll have to figure that out in a minute. But anyways, that's good news because if I don't have to change anything, then fine. If I find a way to pirate my way into MLB.TV, into MLB Network, that's the biggest problem that I have with not having MLB Network is, or what YouTube TV did was when you don't have it going into the season, it's not so much the games because you can get most of the games. You usually get all the games. It's the shows. And if you're a baseball fan, trying to keep up with Major League Baseball via ESPN is literally like trying to keep up with the WNBA and only tuning in to my show every day. Like, you're never going to hear anything about it, right? Ever. You're going to be like, hey, what's going on with the Mercury? And I'm like, what's a Mercury? Like, all right. So it really is unfortunate that that's how it went down. I'm trying to figure out if I can still get some of their broadcast, but at least this random college baseball game is going. On that note, Major League Baseball scoreboard, Rangers lead the Royals 3-2. That game is in the bottom of the third, and Mariners Padres, they're in the middle of the third, and it is 0-0. Rangers Royals is not televised today by either team. Padres, Mariners, I think San Diego TV is televising it. So I've yet to actually see a run across the plate. That's that. But tomorrow, Braves, Red Sox right here on the Key, 105 Eastern. I'll have the call, and looking forward to that as the season gets going. Full season. We'll be broadcasting over 100 games this year on Braves Country HD. So looking forward to that. And we got a couple of guys they're going to try to join in from time to time. But if you haven't heard, it's essentially it's a radio style broadcast. We do have the scoreboard on HD, so you can keep up with that. But it's a radio style broadcast from the fans, or for the fans, by the fans. And college basketball, though, is heating up. Before we get into that real quick, did you check out any of the XFL so far?
I didn't watch any of the games front to back, but I kept an eye on a couple of them. I saw some highlights from them mostly. It's pretty interesting. I hope the league can stay afloat.
It is FAMU and Southern University, and I'm trying to figure out if this game is live. That's my other question. Is this just a pirate feed that has just been left up and no one's paying it? Because I don't see it anywhere on the scoreboard, so that's the problem. I'm starting to wonder if this game is live or if it's, as they used to say, Memorex. I'm starting to think this game isn't live. It also looks like the sun is like barely creaking across, so I'm thinking this has to take place early in the morning on like a Sunday or something. Anyways, I gave it the college try to watch the XFL. It just bored me to tears. It was, first of all, it's bad football.
Yeah.
The geography of it, there's no reason for me to pay attention to it, right? They don't have a team in Atlanta. They don't have a team in Nashville. They don't have a team in Jacksonville. They do have one in Orlando, but Paxton Lynch played quarterback for them. He was so bad he got benched. He got benched in the first game of an XFL game. And as bad as the XFL has been, you know how bad you have to play to get benched? I mean, come on.
You got to play bad. Yeah, I know Tampa used to have a team, and that was my XFL team in the first, or I guess the second go at it. But then they shipped them off to Vegas, so now they're out there.
Yeah, Tampa has a team in the USFL, or at least they did. Unless I haven't even checked to see what the USFL teams will be.
I actually don't think the Tampa has a team anymore. They do have a team in Memphis now, though, in the USFL.
So Tampa's team was lost?
Yeah, I think they were the Bandits, if I'm not mistaken, and I think they shut them down for at least this year.
All right, so there's another reason for me not to watch them.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 8 teams. New Jersey, Michigan, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Birmingham, New Orleans, Memphis, and Houston, I think is what I see.
Yeah. Sounds
And
about
all
right.
going April 15th. Now, Memphis used to always be called the Showboats. Oh, okay, they are still the Showboats, but
They are, yeah.
Their logo is much different than it used to be. I mean, much different. I don't even recognize that. The Showboats. You see that back there?
I can't quite from here. What is it?
But the whole thing's probably going to crash. That is the Memphis Showboats.
Oh.
Original helmet.
Way different now.
I don't know what I'm looking at over here. The rest of the helmets look pretty close to what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what I'm looking at here at Memphis.
Yeah, new helmet, new
All I
colors.
see is a logo, and I mean, I swear it almost looks like a basketball logo. But little known fact, well, those of us who grew up watching it, do you have any idea who the probably the biggest name? It might have been the biggest name in the USFL, but the biggest name for the Memphis Showboats was?
No.
Now realize they were all regional, which is it was one of the reasons why it was very popular league back in the early 80s, because you got first dibs in your region. Now, you didn't have to sign everybody from Middle Tennessee or the Vols or whatnot, but you got first dibs if you're the Memphis Showboats. And I thought they should have done that same thing. I don't think they did that again, which is probably, look, the Bandits probably would have had a following if you made sure that it was all, Knowles, Gators, and Canes on the team, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have a lot of fans of
the
those
biggest name that I remember for the Memphis Showboats off the top of my head, it was the great Reggie White started his career for.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's big.
The Houston Gamblers, who have a team, that would be Jim Kelly was the quarterback.
Huh.
New Orleans Breakers, they were also the Portland Breakers. They had an infamous guy. I wouldn't call him famous because injury cut his career short. But Marcus Dupree of the Oklahoma Sooners played there. Birmingham Stallions. I can't remember the name. They had a quarterback. I think he played for Alabama, but he wasn't great. But he was great in the USFL. Pittsburgh Maulers. They had a really good running back. I'd have to look his name up, but he ended up playing down here in Jacksonville eventually. Philadelphia had a Kevin Bryant, that ended up playing for the Eagles. But the Generals, I know you would know these 3 names for the New Jersey Generals: Herschel Walker, Doug Flutie, and their owner was Donald Trump. So
Oh my goodness.
That was like a Hollywood type team for
the
NFL.
Absolutely.
Michigan had this might be before your time, but had Bobby Hebert. He got his start there before he went to the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
What made the USFL great at the time? They competed with the NFL via money. This is when like $1 million contracts were like a new thing to the NFL. And the USFL was out there putting the money. Steve Young played for the Los Angeles Express.
Seriously?
They outbid everyone, and he decided to go there because he didn't want to go to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Bucks.
Understandable.
Doug Williams, the great Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to ever play in the Super Bowl. He played for what was it called? The something Outlaws, Oklahoma Outlaws, I think. He had 2 seasons. I'm telling you right now, for 2 seasons, one of the most storied leagues in the history of American sports, and it's why I've got every single one of their helmets. I collected them over the years, and I still think back on it like, man, such a good. I was so, you don't understand how depressed I was as a young kid when they canceled the USFL.
Oh, especially with all those star players, I can't even imagine.
Oh my! There were so many of them ended up playing in the NFL. Jacksonville had the great Gary Clark that ended up playing wide receiver for the Redskins, part of their Super Bowl runs, and they what do they call them, the Fun Bunch. Man, I mean, there were so many great players. I would do it a disservice if I tried to name them all, and I'm just mentioning the logos that I can think of. There are so many logos that aren't in front of me because I have 8, and the one in my mind is Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. Hell, the head coach for the Tampa Bay Bandits was Steve Spurrier. You ever heard of him?
Oh, have I? Yeah, man.
Their quarterback was John Reeves, who was at the time maybe 10 years removed from the Florida Gators and had broke the NCAA passing record in the famous, what they called the Florida flop. Florida was playing Miami Hurricanes in a game, and to make sure that he got the passing record, the Gators laid down on the field to let the Hurricanes go into the end zone so Florida could get the ball back so that he could break the passing record. I think it was for one game. I mean, this whole league was just littered with talent.
Well,
I got too big for the britches. Said we're gonna challenge the NFL. Y'all got a monopoly. And the U.S. Supreme Court said they do have a monopoly, but it's because everyone chooses for that to be a monopoly. So you win, and here's your $1, or maybe it was $3. It was something, I know it was below $5 they gave them. It was a slap in the face, and everyone just goes, "Oh man."
Something interesting about the USFL. You know Malik Cunningham, right? The Louisville quarterback.
Yeah.
He was picked. I think Martinez from Kansas State was also picked in the USFL draft. So I wonder, if it'll be kind of similar, I guess, where guys will play there and then try and, I guess, make their way up to the NFL, because Cunningham would probably get drafted in this year's draft anyways.
USFL and XFL should have combined forces. They should have used the USFL brand. They should have combined forces, put their money together, and not – they're never going to be able to compete with these ridiculous salaries like we're talking about, but they could have put together a good product instead of – there's 4 leagues right now this spring. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, Tones is going to join us. We're going to do the cool games, and then we'll get into that college basketball that I was referring to. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Friday night has several teams from the association in action. ESPN's doubleheader, Heat at Bucks at 7:30, and the Thunder are at the Suns at 10, while the hometown Hawks host the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game tips at 7:30. Knicks at the Wizards at 7, Nets at the Bulls at 8, Rockets at Warriors at 10, and the Kings are at the Clippers at 10:30. College basketball action has top 20 Xavier traveling to Seton Hall, both with winning records in the Big East. That game can be seen on FS1 at 7 Eastern. Other games tonight, Sienna's at Ryder, 7 o'clock on the Plus. Should be a good one in New York as Fairfield heads to Niagara. That game is at 7 on the Plus as well. Richmond is at VCU on the Deuce at 7. Bellarmine at North Florida on the Plus, 7 Eastern. While the JU Dolphins have been reeling, they host Eastern Kentucky, 7 o'clock on the Plus. James Madison welcomes in Georgia State at 8. Wyoming at Colorado State at 9. Seattle U at Grand Canyon. That game is at 9, with Air Force at UNLV, 9:30 on CBS Sports Network. And if you're up late, Nevada travels to Fresno State at 11. For the first time all year, we've got Major League Baseball on the scoreboard. Both games starting at 3:05 Eastern. Rangers at Royals, Mariners at Padres. We'll keep you updated on the score right here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in on the Key. Jesse Chavez is ready for spring training, and here are his thoughts on spring training and the new pitch clock.
It's all the same. I cherish every time I get in that, either get on a plane or I get in the car and drive to spring training. I think about what I've been able to do either last year or the few years that however many years I've been playing up into that spring training. I never take it for granted. I always cherish it. I think it's going to be the throwovers to first more than the clock. I think guys are going to have to, with the clock, guys are going to have to pay attention to what they're doing on a pitch-to-pitch basis, so that way they can speed up the shakes and not have as many shakes. Along with the clock later on in the game, I think it can be detrimental because those are innings that we need to be on the same page with. Those are innings that matter. I mean, every inning matters, but at the end of the ballgame, when playoff hunt, crunch time, trying to get in, or you're in the playoffs, whatever, you have a clock. Like it might need to be a couple shakes, and then you get to the step off part with the time. That's going to kind of do a lot of harm's way. Guys are going to throw pitches that they're not going to want to throw.
Your Atlanta Braves take on the Boston Red Sox, 1:05 Eastern, Saturday afternoon. Braves Country HD will have the call, play-by-play, inning by inning, pitch by pitch. From Northport, Florida, Atlanta versus Boston, the first game of the spring. And that game can also be heard right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
It's time to live, laugh, and create memories again with MSC Cruises. Join us on some of the world's most modern and innovative ships. Discover again at our new private island, Ocean Key MSC Marine Reserve, named Best New Cruise Destination. Cruise the Caribbean and Bahamas from Miami or Port Canaveral. Book now with free balcony upgrades and flexible booking changes. Call your travel advisor or visit MSCCruises.com. Restrictions apply. MSC Cruises, a world of discovery.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Larry Bird's not walking through that door, fans. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door, and Robert Parrish is not walking through that door. And if you expect them to walk through the door, they're going to be gray and old. What we are is young, exciting, hardworking, and going to improve. And as soon as they realize that those three guys are not coming through that door, the better this town will be for all of us. I wish we had $90 million under the salary cap. Wish we could buy the world. We can't.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Drive time on WQEE. Welcome back. Tampa Tones joins us. Tones, how the hell are you this afternoon, sir?
It's Friday. Always a good thing when you get to Friday in the world of work or in the world of whatever the heck you're doing. So happy to be here talking sports with the fellas. Crack them if you got them on this fine Friday.
Is that a Cubs hat?
Yeah, it's like a Big League Chew edition Cubs hat. They came out with them last year. Remember the gum Big League Chew? They have like the different designs and stuff. My girlfriend got it for me for Christmas. So I'm like, I'll rock it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the sour grape edition or the sour apple edition or something like that.
What is the writing next to the logo?
It is a Big League Chew. It says swinging sour apple, the flavor, and then this side, the Big League Chew.
It was like a signature of someone that, I knew it hadn't actually been signed because that's what you would have led off with. But I thought maybe it was like someone for the Cubs had endorsed it or whatever.
I'd hope so, but I'll take the Big League Chew for now.
If you could have one Cub sign that hat throughout time, who would it be?
Throughout time, if I could have one Cub sign this hat, I'd probably go Fergie Jenkins. He's one of my favorite Cubs of all time. I know he was a little before my time, but the history of the Cubs, he was one of my favorites of all time. If I could have someone modern day, we'll go modern Cubs, last World Series era type. I'd probably go, oh, that's so tough. I'd probably go with John Lester.
Mine would be all time would be Ernie Banks. Just because I love his famous, Let's Play 2. And everything I ever saw with Ernie Banks, he just seemed like he was always just a jovial guy.
I actually got to meet him twice.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It was after we won the Little League Championship. A bank was opening by my house, so they brought in who else than Ernie Banks to open the bank, and we all got to do a meet and greet with him. It was pretty cool. And then we met him at a Chili's a little bit down the block.
If it was modern day, I'd have to go with Mark Grace. He's from Nashville, and he was one of my favorite players growing up. And considering his post-playing career, the trouble he's been in, I think he'd probably want to be the guy I'd want to go have a beer with after a ball game. I'd want to make sure that we had an Uber driver set up, but I think Mark Grace would be kind of fun to hang out with. Broadcaster for Arizona and just could not stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I remember when the Diamondbacks would play the Cubs, he'd come in our booth and talk a little bit. But yeah, when you keep up with him, it's like a Warren Sapp type, post-playing career.
All right, let's get into cool games. And I'm going to preface this with saying there will be no XFL games mentioned today. Because if you think those are cool, by the way, does anyone even know who won last night?
I do, because I threw some cheddar on that bread. I had the Battlehawks plus 4.5, baby. Woo!
What city is the Battlehawks?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Okay.
And I actually like them because Anthony Becht, I don't like them, but since they stripped the Tampa team, Anthony Becht, former Buccaneers, their head coach. So I was rooting for them last night.
So Tampa had an XFL team and a USFL team this go around. They lost them both.
Yeah, because both leagues did that Spider-Man gif where they look at each other and they're like, "Oh, you got a team and you got a team, so we'll take ours away." Then they both took it away, and now they have nothing besides the Bucks.
And what's the deal with that? And honestly, the XFL might have been better, at least for 2023. Isn't there something that I could have sworn I saw something in the news where Tampa could get the team back next year in the USFL?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they technically can, and they probably will because it was a throwback. The Bandits, they've been around a while. I don't really know why they stripped them this year in general. I think they're testing other cities and areas now that they're not playing in the bubble anymore, I believe. So I don't know. We'll see what the heck happens.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, who they need to go to is Jacksonville. The Bulls led the USFL in attendance both years that they played.
I think that'd be a great one.
They led the league in attendance. And I know it's a little different now because now they have the Jaguars, but I think Jacksonville would but they'd have to call them the Bulls. You'd have to get the nostalgia. You got to get the old guys, the old heads going, oh, man, yeah. And if you have the nostalgia type prices where you can go out there and watch a ball, I would go watch a USFL game locally.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't much, if it was within reasons, right? $15 or whatever to go to a semi-pro type ball game, I would do that. Please don't put it in the middle of Saturday or Sunday afternoon with the sun's blazing in the middle of the Florida sun, but do it.
And to allude what you're saying, our armchair quarterback listener Terry comments, love the days of the Bandits. At the time, it was the best football ticket in Tampa. So to what you were alluding to, there was a point in time where the Bandits were king.
Yeah, the Bandits, they had very good attendance too. Jacksonville just had they had almost like a cult following. It was crazy. The Bulls were just, where is it at? That the big helmet there at the top that holds my Atlanta Braves World Series beanie. That's a That's actually a life-size replica. A life-size. It's not even a replica. It's an actual USFL helmet. I bid it on eBay years ago when everyone was like, USFL, what the heck is that? And I got it fairly cheap, and I thought it was going to be a replica. I really did. And I opened the thing up, about broke my hand because I got to go open it up. And I'm thinking it's going to be this plastic thing. And I go, what the? And I could put it on my head. I was like, holy cow.
That's cool. Yeah, when you get a real helmet, it's crazy. I have a couple Buccaneers helmets, and some of them hold weight to them.
No, you probably got some some Buccaneer jock straps.
The weirdest thing I own is probably a laundry bag.
Oh, come on.
Of a former player's, a nice little laundry bag. And one of the helmets came with the mouth guard on it still, so that was interesting.
Gross. I can just see Tones chewing that thing walking around.
I use it I use it as my what do they call those at night when you put them in and they try and straighten
pacifier?
Something like that.
You're sitting there chewing on it, giving cadences. Joey's like, I'm trying to sleep. Shut up.
I sent it to the jockey to use, so.
All right, let's go ahead and get into some cool games here in college basketball. You know what? We're going to start up. So here's the thing. I'm going to rattle off some games to you. Don't tell me what your answer is yet, but you're going to get to vote on. Since this isn't football season, I'm going to say we're going to keep it at 2 apiece. Okay? We can't go crazy. It's football. It's basketball season. It's not even the playoffs. It's not even the tournament. So let's not go crazy here. I don't have XFL involved. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that one of the cool games is, whether you want to hear it or not, is Braves Red Sox tomorrow. Because when the Braves come back for spring training, that is what is cool about the world. But I didn't put that in this. I'm gonna take that out. That's just a given that the Braves' first spring training game is a cool game. All right. Here we go. Let me see if I can actually see. The only game worth noting on Friday was Xavier and Seton Hall. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but that's not going to make the cut. Maybe if you live in that area, you think it's cool, but if you do not live in that area, you would be wrong if you think that is a cool game. All right, here we go. Let me try and share this screen so everyone can play along. And the cool games for the weekend of February 24th. Let's begin. All right. Now you're going to see some games, but I'm not going to pick them all. I just have them on the actual thing on the screen because to edit that is just a Herculean task that I do not care for. But that gives you an idea of who's playing tomorrow. The first one that I'll mention, and then we'll go back to them. Saturday night, Fox 7:30. Indiana's at Purdue. It's a rematch. Remember, Purdue lost to Indiana recently. 2 p.m. Eastern, Arkansas at Alabama. Number 2, Alabama, ESPN2. Why are I've seen more games starting at 2 o'clock. Like they think we're going to wrap up our Saturday afternoons watching college basketball mid-afternoon. I don't know what. Never used to be the case. Used to, your better games were late afternoon on Saturday. Maybe you'd get a cool tip, around noon or 2, but there's so many of them nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
2 o'clock, number 8, Texas at number 8, Baylor. That game's on ESPN. 6 o'clock, ESPN, number 6, Virginia at North Carolina, who desperately needs a W. 10 o'clock, number 15, St. Mary's at number 12, Gonzaga. Remember, that's a rematch where St. Mary's won the first one on their home floor a few weeks ago, went to overtime. Gonzaga blew a big lead, so there's the rematch there. And then I grabbed a couple of NBA games. There's not much to speak of on the college basketball front on Sunday, but there's one very good college basketball game. NBA game on Saturday night. Celtics at 76ers. 8:30 on ABC. You do have the 3 XFL games, but I couldn't even begin to tell you who's playing in any of them, so we're skipping that. And Suns at the Bucks, ABC 1:00 on Sunday. And that is the list that I'll give you, okay? All right, so you get 2 games that you can say they're cool, they're worth me watching. I'm going to watch them top to finish. I'm not just going to, XFL it. I mean, that's going to become a verb. I might just XFL this game, meaning that I'll flip back and forth, and if it's close at the end. All right, Tones, give me your first cool game of all the ones mentioned.
I'm going to go with Suns Bucks on Sunday. Something about NBA tip-offs on Sunday when it's not baseball season yet, but football season's over, so your Sundays need a little bit of fill-in. And to me, the Suns making a lot of moves at the deadline, obviously getting Kevin Durant, and the Bucks looking to keep up and at it with Giannis. I think that's an incredible game with some of the best talent in the NBA today. And on a Sunday, you're probably relaxing. If you're in this area, it's still a little chilly, not a lot of sports on. That might be one to catch your eye. I think that's a cool game.
It's interesting, too, because, I know the Suns made the big trade and blah, 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 blah. They've only got like 23 games to straighten this out and figure out where Kevin Durant fits.
Mm-hmm. Very well true. Very well said as well.
Bobby, what's your first cool game?
My first cool game is Celtics-Sixers. You got 2 of the best teams in the East going at it. You got the Sixer team who's coming off a big win against the Grizzlies, I believe. The Celtics, they're one of the best teams in basketball right now. That should be a good matchup. A lot of stars in that one. I look forward to it.
My first cool game, I've got to watch Indiana Purdue. 7:30 Fox Saturday night. To me, that is a must-watch game. And it means I'll probably miss Sixers Celtics, even though I'm a Celtics fan for quite a bit of the game. It actually works out perfect because at the end of this game, I can just flip over and see what's going on the Celtics game, right? This is assuming everybody plays. Not too long ago on a Saturday night, big night game, big game of the week or whatever, the matchup, I can't remember who it was. It was Golden State and somebody, and like absolutely nobody played in the game. I think it was Golden State Lakers. It was abysmal. So this is assuming everybody plays. I might flip over to 76ers Celtics, but I can't put it on my cool game if I'm watching a cool game at the time. You can't have them at the same time. All right, Tones, what's your last cool game of the weekend?
It's not because of the time it's being played, but it's because of the matchup. Interstate college rivalry, Texas Baylor, 2:00 tomorrow. 2 of the better teams in the nation, 2 of the country's top 9 teams to be exact. These teams are vying. It's that time of year where you're vying for your spot in March Madness. We know both these teams will make it, but those top 4 seeds are so crucial. We'll see if one of these teams can make a push for a 2 seed, an outside chance at a 1 seed if they run their own tournament. But Texas and Baylor, big time matchup within the state of Texas. Man, I think that's going to be really fun. And whoever wins has not only a good chance at a 2 seed, but an outside chance at a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament this year.
Bobby, what say you on your cool game?
I'm in the same direction as Tones here. I had that one as well. I got Texas and Baylor, a top 10 matchup of Big 12 teams. Like Tone said, has huge implications with the seeding in the tournament. And it comes right before the 76ers Celtics game. So you can watch one little couple hours in between and then watch some NBA action. So those are my 2 cool games.
My last cool game is was it 2:00? Is it 2:00 on ESPN2, Arkansas, Alabama? A little bit has to do with the matchup. A lot of it has to do with the fact, is Brandon Miller going to be on the floor again? I mean, this is getting ridiculous. And not only did he play the other night, he scores 41 points in the game-winning shot.
Mm-hmm.
And considering all the things that other guys have been suspended for and kicked off teams for, Brandon Miller, bare minimum, should have had to step away from the team for a week or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of interested in, it's back at Alabama. I'm going to be curious to see what the look, you expect the opposing fans to not be very receptive toward his employment. But I'll be interested to see what the Alabama fans think. Or do they have a conscience, or is it all about just we're trying to win a championship? It's a bad look for the SEC. It's a bad look for college basketball. And I'm a little surprised that ESPN hasn't put a little more heat on this, because it is their network, and they're usually the virtue signalers that are out there telling you, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. But somehow, there's been very little said about this. And when they do talk about it, I notice on all their shows that they just kind of dust over it. They don't really dive into it. And there are things that have nothing to do with the world of sports that they have dove into and told people, oh, you can't do this, can't do that. Anyways, Bobby, what is your lock and walk-offs?
My lock of the week, I got Suns minus 6.5 versus the Thunder. I know KD is still not back for the Suns yet. He's still nursing that knee injury. But they're the 5 seed right now, and you mentioned it earlier. They've got to start winning some games for playoff seeding, because I know they want to have some home court advantage for at least the first series. So they got to start winning games. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Booker. That should be a great matchup. I look forward to it. But I got the Suns covering here, 6.5.
What's your walk-off?
My walk-off is enjoy the weekend of sports. Enjoy some of the great college basketball matchups. And then NBA, you've got some good ones, especially in the East. You got Sixers, Celtics, like I mentioned earlier. So enjoy the great weekend of sports.
All right, brother. We'll see you next Friday. Enjoy the weekend. And
thank you.
Are you a Gator basketball fan?
I keep up with them. I'm not a big college basketball guy, but if Florida got good, then I'd pay attention to them a little bit more. Probably call me a bandwagon if you want.
This would be a good time for you to jump on the Phoenix Suns bandwagon and say, "No, dude,
I can't do that. I can't do that.
I've always been an Arizona guy. What are y'all talking about?"
I'm from Arizona, actually. I didn't tell you
that. Who is your NBA team?
Portland Trailblazers, right here.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
As you famously have said many times, that's unfortunate. All right, we'll be back in a flash when we come back. Tones and I are going to talk on some college basketball lines. There's a handful of lines I really like, and a couple of them are tonight. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD. We're also going to talk a little spring training baseball, baby. Keep it locked in here on The Key. This Saturday afternoon, February 25th, 1:05 p.m. Eastern, Braves Country Baseball is back. We'll have play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch, inning-by-inning of your Atlanta Braves. That's Braves-Red Sox. This Saturday, 1:05 Eastern on Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key 99.1 FM and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
Are you going to sit down?
Shoot, no. I'm gonna let you guys do what you guys gotta do. Don't worry about me. I'm just gonna go home, make a little macaroni and cheese, seal the window, and turn on the gas.
Are you listening?
TGI Friday, by God, let's go. Baseball is all around us. Real quick on your scoreboard update, Seattle leads the Padres 3-0. That game is in the bottom of the 5th inning. And as you can imagine, they're starting to dump out the starters. But one thing I've noticed this year already, Tones, in spring training, is that there's been a lot of young kids that are in the top 100 MLB pipeline that have been invited to spring training. You don't always get that. The other score, Royals lead the Rangers 4-3. That game is heading to the bottom of 5.
It's that time of year. My pops and parents are actually heading out to Arizona later this week to catch some Chicago Cubs spring training games. So it's that time of year. And we got the young kid, Pete Crow Armstrong, making an impression out there. So we'll see him out there, or they'll see him out there next week, the young gun.
Braves, Red Sox, 105 Eastern tomorrow. We'll have the call right here on the Key and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. And we just released the schedule for this year. About 100 games is essentially what we're doing, about 4 a week. And I actually haven't counted it up. I guess I should count them up. But we're doing a game a week until we get to the regular season. So we're doing one tomorrow, 105 Eastern. We've got the Tuesday night game, 6 o'clock, versus the Red Sox, I believe. And they just happen to be on TV a lot versus the Red Sox in the early going. On St. Patty's Day, 105 Eastern, we'll have the call versus Boston. And that is the 17th. And I don't have in front of me what we do. Oh, it's the Mets the following week. I think that's the 23rd. I believe that's a day game. And then the next week is opening day, the 30th, 105 Eastern, Washington Nationals. And you'll be able to hear that on the Key as well as Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. And speaking of ball games that are going to be going on here, let me get this. Here we go. River Dragons hockey tonight, 7:30. The puck drops versus the Seawolves, and the Air Force Heating and Air pregame show. I'm sorry, the Air Force Heating Air pregame show is at 7:30 tonight. The puck is dropping at 8:05 Eastern. Apologize for that. I'm used to the River Dragons starting at 7:30, but puck drops at 8:05, pregame show, Air Force Heating and Air at 7:30. And catch all the action right here on the Key. All right, we're going to get into college basketball here in a second because there's a lot to get into in the world of college basketball. Big weekend. But I did want to touch a little bit on spring training and some of the storylines folks are going to be focusing on. Obviously, for the Braves, one of the biggest storylines is Soroka and his development coming back. He's already been banged up with a hamstring injury. They are expecting him to just be day to day. But you got a lot of guys that are already on the injury list. Kyle Wright, Jordan Luplow, Soroka, and Ozzie Albies. And you don't necessarily love that if you're a Braves fan, but it is the beginning of the season, and you have to realize that they're very cautious with getting these guys going, because the last thing you want to do is force it, and then they get out there, and then it prolongs them even more, and they end up not playing. Right, it's a shoulder discomfort, and they're talking about how Friday's bullpen goes today. We'll kind of decide when. From my understanding, they're expecting Kyle Wright to miss a little bit of time, but he should be back in time for the opening series, or at least the opening 4 or 5 games for the Atlanta Braves in April. Albies sore shoulder, he'll be limited to DH spot for the first week for the Braves, and then they're going to kind of go from there. Luplo's day-to-day, I haven't gotten a big breakdown on him, so I really don't want to touch on that much. But Soroka was a hamstring, and I know Braves fans, we're kind of at the point where we're like, my word, it's always something with this guy. And though it's a minor hamstring issue, I mean, this guy has missed so much time over the last several years. I'm looking at him, honestly, as a Braves fan, and a guy who does game in and game out every day. Whatever we get out of him is going to be a bonus. I'm looking at him as the number 5 pitcher-ish, meaning I think someone hit the nail on the head the other day. I don't remember where I saw it on social media. They were putting the over-under on starts by Soroka this year at 13.5. I expect it to be a little higher. If I was actually putting the number, I'd probably say 17.5, 16.5. But I don't know if I would bet much higher.
I agree with that.
And of course, for folks who probably might be a little out of it, with the season just going, Tyler Matzik is done for the season. Elbow surgery. That happened last year. So they expect him to be ready next year, but highly unlikely he throws this year. And Huascar Ynoa, once again, is being monitored. He's not necessarily on the injury list, but he is being monitored. That's according to the Braves report. What do you got going on as far as what you're looking at for spring training? Because I'm focusing on the Braves, but also DeGrom's already hurt.
Oh, and how long did they label or list any extent to the DeGrom injury yet to this point?
So, if you mean what's real or what's being reported, they're calling him day to day. But I'm telling you right now, from following DeGrom's career, he's month to month. He had a side bullpen session yesterday. Consisted of 20 fastballs, low intensity, which means that's basically just a toss, right?
Right.
And that's all that was reported. They didn't say if there was any soreness or whatnot. It's a side, it's oblique. He's had this before. He's too skinny to have his oblique constantly hurting.
This is one of those games of what else is new with DeGrom, sadly. One of the greatest talents of our era, one of the best pitches of our era, and maybe one of the best pitchers of our era as well, but the dude can't stay healthy, and that's going to forever hinder him. When I'm looking around spring training, outside the Cubs, I'm intrigued at what the Tampa Bay Rays can do in the AL East this year. They got pitching and they signed more pitching, so they added on to their already viable pitching rotation, their already viable bullpen, but they didn't add any bats to a lineup that has some young talent, but they get hurt a good amount. To me, the fact that the Rays didn't add any bats, that'll be very interesting to watch. I was excited that they added Zach Eflin and, pad the back end of their rotation. But, man, the fact of the matter is, if Zach Eflin is one of your top quote-unquote free agent signings in terms of money all time, that's probably not the best thing. Their rotation stacked. They got McClanahan, they got Glasnow, they got Springs, they got Rasmussen, they got Eflin. But over the course of spring training, could they develop any young bats? I know they had a couple big prospects last year, Jonathan Aranda and Josh Lowe, that they hope to make the next step at the level of Vidal Brujan as well. None of those guys really panned out. So the Rays although they look good pitching-wise on paper and they got some good young offensive talent, I'm wondering if the Jonathan Arandas of the world, the Vidal Bruhans of the world, could take the spring, develop their sticks, and potentially make the Rays into a legit contender and not just one of those teams that, yeah, they're going to provide fun, but their bats are going to hit the wall eventually. They need some more firepower there. And signing Ben Gamble yesterday ain't going to do it.
I obviously follow him quite a bit. The thing about the Rays is, first of all, that's just not their MO. They don't spend money on bats. But the other thing is they're expecting some guys to bounce back this year that had bad years. Like for instance, Brandon Lowe, they're expecting a much better year. Wander Franco couldn't stay healthy last year. They're expecting big things from that. And Manny Margot is another guy. And I think they would like to see, not that he's played poorly, but Randy Arozarena needs to take that next step.
He does.
And so the thing about the Rays, their philosophy, because of their salary constraints, they're going to try to almost, I guess they're really the first ones to do it, but I always think of the San Fran Giants from 2 years ago that did it the best. They're going to try to play that platoon ball. They're going to try to get the best matchups and go from there.
Yeah, and I totally get it. I understand that, and I'm a fan of what the Rays always do. But to me, you could have pivoted on the Eflin signing and used it towards a veteran bat. Now, Eflin is a great fifth starter, but at the same token, they had a couple good young arms that could have groomed into their fifth starter. But as you alluded to, it's just not the Rays thing. I understand that. We'll see where it goes. They struck out on guys like Juan Soto and Freddie Freeman in years past. So,
but they were never really. I mean, the thing is, when they say they're in on Freddie Freeman, what did they offer? Like, I would like to know what the legitimate offer for Freddie Freeman was. Because if it was anything close to what the Dodgers gave, I bet you Freddie would have taken it.
Right. I agree with that. Because
about being able to stay, not only be able to stay down south, but you're talking about being able to go to a state that had no tax.
Exactly correct.
When I see these reports and they say, "Oh, the Rays are in on this and the Rays are in on that," I'm like, "Yeah, okay, okay."
And the thing is, the Rays did one of two things, right? They either offered him a same length contract but for a lot less money, or they offered him a lot shorter of a contract for similar money. So it was probably a no-brainer in terms of money for Freeman, but you did see him last year, look around a little bit and say, man, maybe I should have stayed in Atlanta. So
the Rays are as serious about free agency, big signings, as when you see the Miami Hurricanes up there with a big time recruit, but it's April, right? And you're like, wait till December hits and it all falls apart. So that's just,
And we do have a question on our YouTube feed from Robert. He says, most overrated team and underrated team this MLB season.
Yes, so we did the surprise teams yesterday, and then I gave some overrated teams. The team that I'm going to go with that I think is going to be most overrated for this year, just because their win total on PECOTA standings is 96 right now, and that's the New York Mets. I don't think they got any better. Now, I don't know if they're the most overrated, but they're definitely up there. They're not going to get to the 96. They didn't get better. I can make the argument that they actually got worse. At most, it was a standstill because they brought everyone back and they traded out Jacob deGrom for Verlander. So you traded out a guy who's often who's hurt pretty often, but probably has the best stuff in baseball. And what you got in return was a 40-year-old who faded down the stretch last year.
I agree with that. It's going to be hard. I mean, the Mets, they could win 90 games, sure, that's hard enough, but 96, that's going to be tough and that daunting of a division. The Marlins aren't even that bad of a team. Really, you only got the Nationals as the one team that you look forward to playing in that division. So I can see where you're coming from. If I had to choose an overrated team, me personally, I know that the division they're in, that's all great and whatnot, but I really can't see. I don't think the Red Sox are an 81-win team like Pacoda says. 500 ball in that division. I know 81 wins isn't great, but when you got the Orioles, the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees in your division, and to me, the Red Sox didn't do many great things this offseason. I see 81 as, fortunate outcome for the Red Sox.
To that point, I think the team that's going to exceed the most on the win line, according to the Pacoda standings, is going to be the Baltimore Orioles. They have 73.6 is what it says today. I think yesterday it was 74. So for some reason it dropped 0.4. Baltimore is going to win more than 74 games.
Oh, yeah.
They had a good team last year.
A very good team. Yeah, and if I was looking at Baltimore myself, if I had to pivot and pick a different one outside of Baltimore to perhaps overachieve in the win column, just purely talking about wins, I'd go ahead and I'd go with the Mariners. They're projected 82 wins right now. I don't think the Angels are going to get to where they say they are. They got them projected around 87 wins. I think the Mariners, given their depth chart, given their season last year, and given they'll be a little more veteran this year, I like the Mariners to exceed that 81.5 win total. I think that's a little low for them. I know their rotation seems really strong to me this year, led by Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray, and the likes of that. And to me, their offense is pretty dang good as well. Obviously riding on the youngins like Julio Rodriguez and Jarred Kelenic, but they also added Teoscar Hernandez, AJ Pollock, Colton Wong. So to me, 81.5 wins was a little low for them.
The other team that I would say it would be San Francisco. So their win total in 2021 was 107 wins. Their win total projected this year is 81. Last year, I believe it was projected like mid-80s. They didn't quite get there. I believe San Francisco is going to be a little better than. I'll tell you what, a couple of teams that are going to struggle to hit that number. When you look at the Dodgers at 96 wins, and though they play in a very weak division, you're not playing 19 teams anymore, or 19 times anymore. You're playing everyone 12. The other team that I think is projected way too high is you go to the AL West, Tones, and look at that number for the Los Angeles Angels. 86 wins.
Yes.
How are they going to end up in second place? 86 wins in front of Seattle and in front of Texas, for that matter.
Yeah, I noticed that one myself. That's a very ridiculous number. I mean, every year they're projected to do great. I love Ohtani and those guys, but to me, that is too high for the Angels. Probably the worst number, honestly, is the Angels. If I had to pick, it's not as bad as one, but it projects the Pirates still getting to 72 wins. I know that's not a lot, but when you look at their pitching rotation, I find it very hard to believe that the Pirates will string 72 wins together.
Yeah, unless McCutcheon's going to go out and hit 60 home runs. I don't see that happening. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds to finish up the week here on Braves Country as we got the locks and college basketball lines on the way.
Well, Mom, if you already knew, then why didn't you tell Dad? Then we wouldn't be in this mess.
Oh, my God. Rosemary had a better baby than me.
I'm not audible. How audible? I'll use Omaha! Red Polly! Blue Poncho! Do it! Rambo! Give me Kershaw here, Kershaw!
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Stop, Japan! Richmond, New York! Richmond, Florida! Sally, Buffalo! Jet, hey, Short Ox! To the Raiders! Red Lion! Omaha! Time out!
It's hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGinn, the armchair quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE. Welcome back. Are you all the way to the top of the hour? Sports Map Radio will take over. And remember, tonight, 8:05, the puck drops right here on 99.1 FM. River Dragons versus the Seawolves. 7:30, the Air Force Heating and Air pregame show begins. Tomorrow, 1:05 Eastern, right here on the Key in Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. Braves Red Sox will have the call, and baseball season will officially start for everyone in Braves Country. Looking forward to that. All right, Tones. College basketball. We got some really interesting games coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hit up some of the spreads. Curious, let's go ahead and get your lock before we go any further.
My lock is actually going to be, drumroll please, the Chicago Bulls tonight. They need to play a better brand of basketball this second half. They're getting healthy tonight. They got DeMar Rosen back. I'm taking their money line. It's at minus 125 at this given time. I think that's good value. They're home. They're getting healthier. DeRozan's back. Dragic should be back. Their big guns are going to play. Vooch and the gang. A lot of pressure for this Bulls team that was really good a year ago. The Nets just cleared house as well. They got rid of Durant. They got rid of Irving. They have very little talent left. They still have a pretty decent record in terms of record, but I expect that to fall off soon. Give me the Bulls tonight at minus 125 on the money line.
All right, my lock of the night. I'm actually gonna pick a game that you can see, that you can get into. It's on FS1, Seton Hall versus Xavier. And let me double check the line. I know I usually pick the obscure ones, and I do have a couple ones that I do like that we'll get into in a second. Let me double check what the line is on this. Seton Hall is getting 1.5. I like it even more. Give me Seton Hall plus 1.5. It's 105 on the money line if you want to go that direction. I think Seton Hall is going to be able to keep Xavier off the glass. They're at home and should be a really good game. It's a matchup. A couple of Big East teams. Now Xavier's the ranked team, so people tend to bet the ranked team when they don't really know what's going on. But even though Xavier's 12-5 in the Big East and Seton Hall's 9-8, and Seton Hall's a pretty good ball club, and they do play well at home. So give me the Pirates at home.
Love it.
Now, there's another game that I like that comes on the early slate. Let me see if I can find the line. Here it is. Fairfield is getting 2.5 against Niagara. And I like Fairfield to go into Niagara. If you've watched any of these games, Niagara has very little home court advantage. And Fairfield, pretty good team. Should be a good game tonight. I think that game, if you want to see it, I think it's on the plus. Yes, it is on the plus. These are two teams, 8-9 and 9-8 in MAC play, but it's going to be a lower scoring ball game. And if you're going to give me a bucket in a lower scoring ball game, this Fairfield team has been playing much better of late. I really like Fairfield in that game tonight.
Yeah, I like Fairfield. I was actually looking at a couple of those smaller games because Friday night does bring up college basketball. Real quickly, on top of Fairfield, I do like them as well. You alluded to that already. I like Lipscomb tonight against Stetson. Lipscomb's 8-12, Stetson 17-11. Lipscomb's been playing really good basketball of late. They just beat Florida Gulf Coast on the road. They beat up on Jacksonville at home. So I like Lipscomb tonight over Stetson on the road. And Lipscomb is getting a couple of points, I believe, as well. Yes, they're plus 1.5 as well. So I like Lipscomb on the road, too, in a little matchup at Stetson.
I'll tell you another game I like, too. Eastern Kentucky's a pick'em at JU, Jacksonville University. Eastern Kentucky should get that game.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all the I've got 5 big matchup numbers. Eastern Kentucky wins 4 of the 5 big matchup numbers. And JU has just been a disaster for the last month and a half. I would take Eastern Kentucky in that game.
That's a good one.
We've got some interesting games, and I think I'm going to have to go somewhere else to find that. So let me pull up elsewhere to find the I'll go ahead and share the scoreboard itself for tomorrow. But tomorrow, obviously, a full slate on Saturday as always is. And here we go. You got a lot of games tomorrow, obviously. On a Saturday, it's always a full slate. UConn St. John's starts it off on CBS tomorrow. That should be a good game. And if we did our show in the New York City area, that would actually be a cool game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because we don't, I didn't feel like I should be putting UConn versus St. John's there. But that is a good game and kind of an old school rivalry. I'm going to try to catch that one tomorrow. Obviously, I won't be able to get locked into the first half as the Braves game starts at 1:05 Eastern. We'll have it right here on the key. But other games tomorrow, Georgia is at home against Missouri. They got a chance to get a W there, and man, they have been sliding. Bulldogs 16-12, 6-9 overall. Now, the only way they're going to make it to the SEC, to the NCAA tournament would be to win the SEC. So that's off the table, but they need to get a win or two so that they can get to the NIT.
Mm-hmm.
And Missouri is a team that can get got. What else jumps out at you tomorrow?
I like one early tomorrow. It's a battle in the Big Ten. Iowa, Michigan State. That one caught my eye a little bit. It's been an up and down week of basketball for Michigan State. And Iowa's looking to try and work their way up in the tournament a little bit as well. So very good Big Ten this year. I think Michigan State's getting 3.5 on the road tomorrow. And that game
What's the time on that game?
The game is noon Eastern. Michigan State is on the road in Iowa, noon Eastern tomorrow. Then one more I like nighttime tomorrow night. St. Mary's Gonzaga. That's a beauty. Yeah. Gonzaga's -4. And that one's at 10 Eastern p.m.
Yeah, I might be late tweeting during that game. I am all in on that rivalry. I don't even know why, but I really like that rivalry. And depending on where the line is, I'm definitely going to have some interest in it tomorrow night. I'm just going to wait to see where the line is before I jump the gun as far as who I'm actually going to pick there. If it's not a terrible line, I like Gonzaga to win that game, but they might be favored by way too much.
Yeah, right now I'm seeing it on a different sports book. Gonzaga's minus around 4, it looks like right now.
If it comes down 3.5, something like that, I might take it. 4 is a little. Those two just tend to play within about a possession of each other.
If you're a college basketball fan, you better buckle in tomorrow.
Yeah, we've only got 2 weekends left before the Power 5 tournaments, and next week, Monday, conference tournaments begin for some of the smaller tournaments. I saw that on. I can't remember if it's the A10. Anyways, it's a couple of the smaller tournaments. One of them starts on Monday.
We're going to have some tournament play to talk, and maybe not a lot of time to talk about it, but we'll have some tournament talk on Monday, I'm sure then.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the tournaments. Between that and Major League Baseball starting, I mean, it's betting season again, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we got our couple weeks to recoup after the Super Bowl. Now it's time where the pocket comes out again. And I actually made my first 2 bets yesterday and went 2-0. I had the Battlehawks and I also had Penn State. So there we go.
Yeah, I took that Penn State on the parlay, and then I'm glad I went back and doubled back on my to hedge the bet on the back end of that Northern Kentucky game, because it was starting to get away, and they made it just close enough where you didn't have to put a whole lot, and so I did make a headway on that.
There we go.
I know some people that are just against hedging. I'm like, dude, the whole name of the game is to make money. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
If you refuse to hedge, that tells me that you're just doing it for the rush, right?
Or you're betting way too small of an amount where it wouldn't matter.
Well, yeah, but even still, even comparatively, let's just say you're throwing $5 on it, and trying to think of what the payback was on that one. I think it was plus 300-ish. I want to say it was plus 340 on the, because I took them both on the money line.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went back and went a plus 100 bet to hedge back. So that I knew I was at least going to come out ahead by 100 points. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, because I did throw another 100 points in there, then I'm going to at least make, I was either going to double my money for the day, or I was going to triple my money as opposed to quadruple my money all in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that, oh yeah, you could never really make money. And those are the people that always lose. Those are the people that always lose because things don't go your way. The ball bounces weird. Things happen. The whole reason why you do parlays, especially the ones that I do, I tend to grab one in the early and one in the late, so I can go back and hedge my bet.
Yeah, or if you don't want to hedge, some sports books offer you to cash out early as well, where you win money.
Exactly. What is your walk-off? We got a jam.
My walk-off real quick. NHL has been historical in the Eastern Conference this year. Keep your eye on it. The Bruins might not get 10 losses. Just truly incredible.
All right, we got to run out of here. Stay tuned for Sports Map Radio. Of course, you've got River Dragons coming up tonight. Puck drops at 8:05. Tomorrow, 1:05 Eastern, Braves Red Sox right here on the Key and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. Find us on YouTube today. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice
This Saturday afternoon, February 25th, 1:05 p.m. Eastern, Braves Country Baseball is back. We'll have play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch, inning-by-inning of your Atlanta Braves. That's Braves-Red Sox. This Saturday, 1:05 Eastern on Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country.